Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to the CPG Vibe Show, the Expert Series, Volume 13. And this is going to be about emerging brand founders. So we will be bringing on about 5 or 10 minutes, no particular order, Tania Sweis with Brune Kitchen, Kristen Charbo with Glonuts, Dan Choi with the NA Beverage Co, and Stacey Wood with Whole Harmony, which is a client of Be Driven, which is a good segue. Wade, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Alex. It's been a busy week coming off fancy food, the July 4th holiday. Lots of stuff going on, but excited to talk to these 4 founders.
Absolutely. And we took last week off. We were going to have a show, and then me and Wade texted and we're like, nah, let's just relax, take the week off. We've been working hard and it's been a crazy week. So, and then I know I saw the CPG office hours where you guys talked about fancy food show, and then you had Gavin Conkle on, and you were talking about like etiquette and follow up with buyers, and the rhythm on how to do it and not piss someone off and try to get into the stores. It was a good show. I've been tuning in every single week.
We appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, Luke, my boss, Luke Abbott, and I are doing another podcast on Wednesdays, same time, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, called CPG Office Hours. Short and sweet, half an hour to the point, rapid fire. It's just we're having fun. I think this week was episode number 5. So
yeah, it's climbing up there pretty quick. Before you know, you'll be at 100, then 170, whatever, like us, right?
Exactly.
So, I don't think you'll be catching up though, unless you start doing like 3 shows a week.
That's not the plan. That's not the plan.
Not the plan. That'd become a full-time job, and then you're not focusing on the core.
Exactly.
Yeah, so make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. There's some laundry list items. You can go on Apple Podcast or Spotify and just scroll down to our beautiful faces and make sure to give us 5 stars for that. And we are the #1 LinkedIn CPG podcast, and also the most viewed and listened to on Apple Podcast and Spotify. So thank you for that, and that's a huge honor. And if you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We also have our backwall sponsors. As you can see, we have Melting Forest, we have Feel Free, and we also have Dream Makers. And if you'd like to participate in Jeff Church's accelerator, that is Dream Makers, make sure to reach out to him by LinkedIn. He has a couple spots open, and he's the guy that started Suja, co-founded Suja, built him to over 100 million, then eventually sold it. So he knows what he's doing. And then also kind of a rumor mill kind of thing, Wade, is of these 3 sponsors, one of them is going to be on our show in the next couple months.
Interesting.
Jeff Church has already been on our show, but it's either Sean McDonald from Melting Forest, or it's going to be some mystery person from Feel Free. But they did reach out to us through a PR person, and they may be on the show. I'm not going to say 100%, but pretty likely by the end of the summer. So that's going to be cool.
Fun.
So thanks for reaching out. And if you ever want to be on the show, or if you're a PR person, just email cpgvibes100@gmail.com, and we can try to get you on the show. Obviously, we're incredibly busy here. I'm kind of being facetious, but we do have some openings later this year, and we can fit you in. We typically have special edition series, so we'll see if it fits within our schedule, and hopefully we can bring you on. And then we have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CPGVibes. We're going to upload that right after this episode. And I think besides that, I know we're going to bring on our guests in about 4 or 5 minutes, but Wade, we haven't done this for a while, but I like to mention just a brand that I discovered, which is like that thing,
Chef's Kiss.
Yeah, the Chef's Kiss. That's what they call it, which makes perfect sense, right? This is the product called Golden Root. Have you ever seen this?
Yes, I have.
Okay. How did you discover it?
I've tasted that somewhere. I don't know if it was a show or someone sent me it. I can't remember, but I've definitely had that product.
Yeah, I mean, it's glass bottle.
I feel like somebody gave me that at Expo.
Probably. Yeah, it was just
I
a
think he
blur.
was walking, the founder was walking the halls. I think he gave it to me at Expo. I could be wrong about that.
Sounds about right. And they're launching, I don't know, I don't want to make it public yet, so I'll let him do the announcement, but they're launching in a premier Southern California retailer imminently, like within a couple weeks. I won't say which one, but it's a real good one.
Nice.
And his name is David Weaver. Golden Root is a ginger beer reimagined. I mean, this is the lemon double ginger SKU. And the ingredients on this is sparkling water, lemon juice, ginger juice, organic cane sugar, allulose, which is a really great sweetener, healthier than some other concentrated sweeteners, lime juice, and absorbic acid, which is basically vitamin C. And it tastes great. And then also my personal favorite is the lemon ginger hibiscus, which, as you can see, is almost gone. So good stuff. He sent it to me as a care package, and I just wanted to shout him out on the show because it's
nice. Awesome. Good stuff.
So thank you, David. So anything else you want to say about, I know we have to get to our guests, but any 30-second elevator thing about what's been going on at V-Driven, what happened with Fancy Food, just anything?
Well, I was going to say, I know we talked a little bit about Fancy this week. It was a great show. Good presence with emerging brands, and this microphone keeps moving. It has a mind of its own. It won't stop. It's just good. It was, good representation of emerging brands, and it was my first Fancy Food show, so I think it was pleasantly surprised to see. My expectations were more international, and there certainly was a lot of international products, but the representation of what I'm kind of used to with Expo and things like that, I was pleasantly surprised with how many brands like that were there. So no, it was a great show. Aside, travel was a little rough due to delays and things, and New York City being a nightmare, but aside from that, it was good.
Awesome. And then I know that it's coming back, obviously, for the West Coast show, January. And then where is it now? I know it was in Vegas and it's relocated, right?
I was going to say, I'm not sure. I thought it was still in Vegas, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I remember, unless it was in my dream, that they relocated somewhere else, a little more easier. I don't know. I mean,
it looks to me like, oh no, that's still showing. I was going to say, maybe San Diego.
San Diego. There it is.
San Diego.
Yeah,
yep.
Which is actually harder to access for some people that are not in California, but I guess maybe a better venue. Who knows? The Vegas one, I remember going a couple years ago, and it just was not well attended. I don't know why. Like the way the hall was constructed, the flow of traffic, it was so big. Like Vegas, right? Just enormous that there wasn't as many people. It was too spread out. It wasn't well attended, and so maybe they're just trying to mix it up and try something new. So San Diego, that's where it's at.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, without blabbing any further, let's bring on our guests here. So again, in no particular order, and Tania, make sure, there you go. Okay. So in no particular order, we have Tania Sweis. She's the founder, right? The founder of Brune Kitchen. We have Kristen Charbo, who's the founder of Glonuts. We have Dan Choi, the founder of the NA Beverage Company. And let's see, did I get this right? That's Stacey Wood. I'm sorry, Kristen is the co-founder. Stacey Wood, founder of Whole Harmony. I want to get those right. So let me bring everyone on right now. And here we go. Got to click a little bit. Click and click. There we go. There's a lot of people. It took me a minute to click everyone in. How's everyone doing?
Doing great.
Doing great. Awesome. For those that are listening after the fact on the recorded version, Kristen's background, it looks fake, but it's real. It looks like picturesque. So for people that can't see, explain, what does it show and then where are you at?
I am visiting my parents in rural Virginia, Huntsville, Virginia, one stoplight.
I think she might have cut out.
Yeah.
Is that me or is that her?
No,
okay.
That's her.
Okay, we'll go back to her.
There she's back.
You're back. Okay, continue.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay, yeah. So I'm in Hillsville, Virginia, which is in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, visiting my parents, trying not to work all the time, but definitely doing a fair share of work while I'm here.
Yep. Never, we're talking offline. It never stops. It never ends. And we just have to figure out how to kind of have little reprieves and rests as we're going through and working hard, right? And I kind of compare it to
Yeah,
like a football game. You're like pushing really hard on each play, but then you rest and then push hard again and then rest. So
and just the change of scenery sometimes is a nice break.
100%. All right, so we have a tradition on the show where we're going to start in the upper right corner and we're going to go clockwise and just have everyone introduce themselves. So we'll start with Tania, and then we'll go to Kristen, even though you've kind of introduced yourself already, and then Dan, and then Stacey, and just who you are, where you're from, what your company is, the product, and also to say one thing, which we didn't prep you for anything, like no script, just chat, right? This is like putting you on the spot right here. Nervous laughs going on right now. One thing about you that very few people know that you're able to disclose here just for a few hundred people. All right, so we'll start with you, Tania. Welcome to our show.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tania Sweis. I am the founder and CEO of Brune Kitchen. So Brune makes healthy desserts. Our primary line is cookies. They're super clean, certified organic, gluten-free, no refined sugar, plant-based, but still very decadent and indulgent. So we are based in Southern California, in San Diego specifically, and you can find us in SoCal and also nationwide at Sprouts. And one thing that not too many people know about me that I can disclose is, let's see, one of my favorite things to do is culture and make my own butter.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's the weirdest one we've ever had is when Nick, and it's public domain, so I can say this. Nick Saltarelli, the co-founder of Midday Squares, came on. You remember this one, Wade? And he said, "I like to smell my own earwax." Like, okay. So I don't think anyone can top that one for weirdness, but we'll see. You know, maybe when it gets to Dan, he might top it. Let's see. We're all a little weird here. We're entrepreneurs, right? We're crazy to be doing this shit. So we're all gonna have something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So Kristen, welcome to our show, and tell us more about yourself and the one thing that we do not know about you.
Awesome. Yes, co-founder and CEO of Glonuts. My husband and I started Glonuts out of our kitchen 5 years ago when we were trying to start a coffee brand instead. But we made Glonuts to go with the coffee. They're called Glonuts because they're made from clean ingredients that help you glow. And they are gluten-free, raw vegan, and just 1 gram of sugar per donut. They are refrigerated. You can find them in places like Erewhon, H-E-B in Texas, and in the Northeast in select ShopRite and Citarella markets. One thing some people don't know about me is that my dream is to a regenerative farm someday and grow all of my own food.
That's awesome. And I'll say that I discovered your brand. I remember I can't remember, it was like text, or I think it was LinkedIn first, and I got your number and we were like texting. And and I remember I discovered your brand at Erewhon. Yes. And I'm like, holy shit, I have not had donuts since eating in Tenemans when I was like 15 years old. And it was obviously it's crap. And yours is amazing and it tastes great. So it's a great product. It's like donuts reimagined. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all your success and the product and what you've done. Dan, welcome, my man. How you doing?
Hey, Alex. Dan Choi here. I'm the founder and CEO of the NA Beverage Co. We're based in Southern California in San Clemente, so not too far from San Diego, but probably the southernmost point of Orange County, or we can just call it Southern California for short. So what we're about, I started NA as a non-alcoholic beverage brand, and at the end of the day, we are on a mission to redefine how we drink, connect, and celebrate, and we're doing that through alcohol-free alternatives that actually taste great and they're generally good for you. This company comes out of my own personal journey with sobriety. I was a high-functioning corporate person living in the corporate world for about 20 plus years, and about 3 years ago, I chose sobriety for a couple different reasons and just wanted to share that with the world. do that through something positive. That's what brought me to somewhat, depending on who you ask, foolishly start a non-alcoholic beverage company with little to no CPG experience. It's been quite a ride for the last couple of years. Definitely looking forward to sharing some of the wins as well as some of the trials and tribulations along the way. As you guys know, just it's just been interesting transitioning and seeing this. But at the end of the day, it's been something that I asked for as an entrepreneur, and something I'm like just trying to enjoy the process along the way. So, our lineup, we do have non-alcoholic beers, which we started off with, but we're really focused on our functional beverages and our functional lines. And so what makes us a bit different from some of the others that are out there, we're actually the only social beverage that actually has targeted health benefits. So they're made for you and how you want to feel. We obviously have a calming beverage to replace those nightly rituals where you want to wind down and relax without alcohol. But we also have drinks that'll give you energy and focus, drinks that'll hydrate you, and drinks that are good for your gut as well. All clean ingredients, better for you, organic, non-GMO, and just looking forward to sharing them with the world.
Awesome. And they taste really, really good. Like on top of all that, it's just a great experience. Yeah. And then it's functional, like you feel it. The one that I had, again, I always do this to myself where I try to name the flavor and I screw up the flavor. It was a blueberry, blueberry one.
That's
I got that
lavender
right.
Blueberry.
Lavender blueberry. Phenomenal. I remember when we first spoke, and then I went to the store, Bristol Farms, Manhattan Beach, and I merchandised it because the guy obviously was on his lunch break and he didn't pull it up to the front. And so merchandised it, bought one of each. I missed one of them. One was sold out, and they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal.
Thank you, Alex. And I forgot to mention something people might find shocking about me. I as you can imagine, I'm into a lot of weird things, but one thing that I guess shocks the most people when I mention it to them, actually, I'm married and I have 5 kids. And so you might ask, why in the world would you, with 5 kids, later in your career phase, decide to start a startup CPG company? And we'll save that for later in the podcast.
Yeah. There are easier ways to inflict pain on yourself, Dan. There's easier ways to hurt yourself.
Yeah, there's definitely easier ways to make money.
There are.
Yeah.
The passion. It leads with passion, hard work, blood, sweat, tears, and then hopefully from all that, money comes later from putting in all that energy and effort. And also, you got 5 individuals that can sample for you at stores.
I put them to work. Like you should see them put together an Amazon FBA shipment. Oh wait, let's not get any child labor laws violated on this podcast. So
we're going to that. Yeah, awesome stuff. So welcome to our show, Stacey. Thank you for waiting so patiently. Tell us about yourself, product, and one thing we don't know about you.
So thanks for having me. I'm Stacey Wood, founder and CEO of Whole Harmony. We are a plant-based wellness company. We have several lines. We have a wellness tonic line, elderberry syrups, and raw apple cider vinegar digestive tonics. We also have a phenomenal botanical healing tea line, loose leaf. We're just rebranding that. And then kind of like Dan, as if that weren't enough in the CPG space, we also decided to get into functional refrigerated beverage category because I don't have enough to do and my life's not chaotic enough. And I need a high level amounts of stress every day to operate the way I want to operate. Anyway, we just launched a new beverage brand in November. It's pretty phenomenal. Our first customer was Erewhon, and then we followed it up with a national launch into Sprouts. And, we're still in the throes of that. And then we just picked up quite a few other retailers. I think Jimbo's, actually, I know Jimbo's in Southern California, also Bristol Farms, Vintage Grocers, and I believe Mother's Market are like any day now, those should be on shelf. So just trying to manage all that. But the built-in demo company with the 5 kids, Dan, was genius on your part. Oh my God.
And they're cute,
oh
right?
My God, if I only would have known that. But yeah, we are located all over. I don't know. We have a corporate office in Connecticut. Our one thing that I think is really cool is our botanical teas are actually made on our reservation. I'm a full Native American Mohawk. In upstate New York. That's where I'm from. My whole family still lives up there. I have a store up there, and I am from the Bear Clan, and we are the healers. We are the medicine makers. So I have tea fairies, girls up there who hand make all of these teas that are also Native American, that are also Bear Clan, that are making them. So I love the fact, like when these launch nationally, because we're pretty close to pulling that trigger, that we are living in integrity. You know what I mean? Like, because so many things got stripped so long ago, and putting those battles aside, but just growing and blooming and becoming what we were supposed to be anyways, in spite of it all, right? And isn't that like what a real entrepreneur is? In spite of all the headaches, in spite of all the stress, in spite of all of the stuff that goes on in our daily lives, we emerge victorious in whatever those victories are. Like, they can be very small sometimes, but I hold each and every one of those so close, because the other side of it is so hard sometimes. So anyway, there's that. We also have a warehouse in Connecticut, Long Island, and that's it. But I'm out here in LA, getting this beverage line really launched and off the ground. So I'm temporarily placed here. But a fun fact, probably no one would know about me, that I can disclose, would be I'm actually an exceptional foosball player. Like, I go to tournaments, I win tournaments, I put money down on it, I bet. I mean, I bet on myself every day, right? That's probably why I'm a successful entrepreneur. But like, I don't know, it was this young thing, like misspent childhood, sitting in like arcades and stuff and learn this skill. But I love it. I like, when I want to shut my brain off, I actually belong to a league in Connecticut that I go to on Friday nights sometimes, but I let off steam and it's fun for me. I know it's weird, but again, like you said, Alex, we're all weirdos.
We are. Yeah. There's something, there's one can short of a six pack, a screw loose, whatever, however, what kind of phrase you want to use. That's us. But we think outside the box, and we rise above, right? So that's what we do as entrepreneurs. I got a question on one of your ingredients, and then I have a kind of a statement about everyone in the room, a good one. Calendula. What's calendula?
Well, it falls in the demulcent category in plant medicine. So which means it's very unctuous, it's very moistening. So you usually want to see that in a lot of digestive formulas, because it helps coat everything from the time your entire digestive tract from mouth to bottom. It's also energetically, on the emotional, spiritual side, it's really good for grief, and it's also really good for creativity.
Very nice. Cool. Well, one thing I wanted to point out too, again, these are all phenomenal products, and we'll get a question going here, is that I think a majority in this room are refrigerated, right? You are, Stacey, Kristen, yours is, and then Brune Kitchen, right? Tania, yours is. I know yours could be either one. Dan, or does it have to be refrigerated?
It's shelf stable, yeah.
It's shelf stable, which is pretty common for NA. So Wade, I'll open up with one question, because it's always a curiosity, because I was a brand founder. And also I built my own cage by having a refrigerated beverage, and how hard it was with the distribution and the cost and the weight and all these different things. So, as you're growing your business and you're emerging, you're reaching your first couple million in sales, or your first 5 million in sales. How active are you in the details versus the bigger picture? And then what's your strategy on when you're going to be hiring people, if you haven't already, to handle more of the details? And like, how are you handling that on the day-to-day with details versus big picture, raising money, and retailers versus looking on a computer all day? I'd like to hear how you're balancing all that, because it's really hard to do both at the same time and also be the leader of the company. So I'm going to start back to the upper right corner to Tania, to tell us kind of what's your day-to-day operations when running your company with your team.
I mean, it's definitely a difficult balance to strike. I know for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, when you're starting a company from the ground up, you really, from the beginning, are so involved in all the details. It ends up becoming kind of a reflection of who you are, because it's often something that, at least, for me, a product that I wanted, that something I would use. And so it's natural to be very, very involved and have a strong, um, desire to make sure everything is going the way that you want it to go. And as things start to scale, of course, that's not reasonable to continue. And for me, I think the path that I've taken is to, at the first step, make sure that I understand how to do every aspect of the business. I don't offload anything without first understanding how to do it myself. So, one, I'll always be able to determine if the people that I'm bringing on are doing a good job and doing what they need to do. And also, so I can be a better leader when I'm working with people that are taking pieces of the business. So that's really the main thing that I've tried to do is understand all aspects as much as I can, and then move from there to bring people on to take on, a lot of the day to day. So at this stage, we actually haven't hired anyone else full time, but we have a great team of, third party consultants and brokers and things like that that are handling specific parts of the business that they have expertise in.
It's a great answer. Great answer. You hit the nail on the head there. Who else would like to jump in on that one?
I can piggyback on that just to highlight what Tania was saying. Grover and I, my partner, we have also done every job in our business. We've, built Glonuts from our home kitchen into a commercial kitchen where we continued to hand make Glonuts, and then scaled finally into a manufacturer. I think when we offloaded our manufacturing to a manufacturer, that really freed up a lot of our time to focus more on building the business and growing distribution. But we have done every single job in this company, and we continue to do that today. We're trying to stay very lean for as long as possible. And then when we do hire, we want to hire for the positions that, we think someone would be better at than us. So for us, we feel like operations would be the first thing to offload, someone who has a very strong operational background. And then, we're now also starting to rely on outsourcing parts of the business to fractional work. So fractional CFO, fractional finance, and relying also on a broker network as we start growing and working more with national retailers, because they really have that key experience on how to handle so many of the things that are a bit over our head on the sales side.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. I think when I started Genius Juice like 11 years ago, there was not as much fractional opportunities, like people that are really good at one or two things and hiring them. It was either you pay someone full time or you do it yourself. So I like now in the last 6-7 years, whether it's, Be Driven, Mercenary, all these like fractional companies that have come out, and you see them on LinkedIn, they're really good at what they do. And you can, fractional, right? Pay them a fraction of what you pay a full-time person. And I just remember, and I'll get it back to the people in the room, but very quick story is, I used to co-pack at the same facility as Rebel, okay, like the brand Rebel. And I ran into the founder of Rebel. He was in the conference room, right? Just waiting, like we all do at co-packers, waiting for them to run it, making sure everything goes okay. And I asked him, this is when they were at, I think, 10 million around there in revenue. And he was working on his deck, like in the conference room for another round. And this is 8 years ago. And I asked him, how many people do you have on your team for the size of your company? He's like, 4 or 5. So it's amazing. You don't really need that many people in CPG plus fractional to build your brand to a certain level before you start going to like the moon, right? Dan or Stacey, any other comments on that?
I've got a maybe somewhat slightly different angle on this topic. So remember, I came from the corporate world, right? So my last job, I was like a partner at this firm where I was doing mergers and acquisitions. I had like 20, 30 people working for me. So in my mind, I was always like a team builder, right? Now I was always hands-on, and quite frankly, that's why I got a little bored in corporate. But my instinct was to build a team right away. Now, that being said, I built a team of fractional people, and I think it's like an easy way out for people to say, hey, we've got all these fractional folks, so it's better because you're not really hiring. But after kind of doing that for about a year with a lot of fractional people, I want to say like 9 of them, I actually went the opposite way. I streamlined all my fractional people, and I said, you know what? I've got some folks around, right? Like you always need like social media, for example, and some of the marketing components. I don't have my own manufacturing facility, so I'm in a sense outsourcing my co-packaging. I'm not an R&D guy per se, so I need a formulator to help me as I'm revising stuff. But in any case, when I was first starting off, I was still doing part-time work at my other job. And so in my mind, it was, hey, how do I keep building this company without, putting my full time into it? And the answer to that was using fractional resources. And I think that was a little bit of a mistake looking back at it. What I should have done is taken the money I was spending on fractional resources and just paying myself, allowing me to free up to actually work more on the company without having some financial stress and burden, if that makes sense. That being said, I was still doing both. That's what I found out, Alex. I was not only doing the fractional resources job at times, or just to make sure that I could hold them accountable to what was going on, but I was also paying them to do their job and giving them feedback on it. So I think it was weird, right? It's like, and at the end of the day, we got into like a cash crunch. We're fundraising right now. And it was a nice forcing function just to kind of say, hey, you know what, let's go back to basics. It's almost like a zero-based budgeting concept and say, at the end of the day, like I can do everything, right? And that's what I like about this, like anywhere from perform. I'm not the best at some of these things, but like, I've taught myself how to do D2C, how to set up my Shopify site, how to do performance marketing. I taught myself how to, pitch to, regional and national chains. And I even do grocery store demos. I just told you before I went to a warehouse and drove a forklift around. That's a part of the job. And that's why I do it. It's fun. I get to do a lot of things. To your point, I get into trouble sometimes though, because I'll get into the weeds and I sometimes don't see the forest for the trees. So as long as I'm continuing to remind myself that, hey, at the end of the day, during this time frame, it is important for you to roll up your sleeves, understand the details of the business, so that when I am actually ready and the company's ready to hire fractional people that will eventually turn into full-time people, I can actually lead them better and more efficiently. And so as one thing I learned in this space, and again, I come from kind of like a bloated corporate space where there's a lot of inefficiencies. Mm-hmm. In order to survive in CPG, I've noticed, even if you take money and do a lot of fundraising, it's incumbent upon you to be super efficient and effective with whatever resources you have so you can get to profitability and break even and cash flow positivity quicker. And that's kind of where my phase is. So when people ask me, hey, how's NA doing? We're doing really well, but at the same time, I've ramped down the team, started dedicating my own focus instead in some of these areas that I think are strategic growth areas for us, and taking matters into my own hands at the end of the day, because that's just where we're at. We don't have enough revenue yet to hire people or hire more fractional people. All the fractional people I actually couldn't afford. And so I had a high burn unnecessarily this entire time. And so in this next stage going forward, especially after we close this fundraising round, we're going to be super efficient about how we use that spend going forward. Especially with fractional hires.
Yeah. And I will, we'll go to Stacey in a sec. And there's a really great podcast called the 7 Hats podcast with Yuval Selik. And I am the guest next week. It's already been recorded, and it's probably the most, vulnerable interview I've ever done. And that's kind of how he does it. But he had someone on that started the brand Good Wipes. Sam, I'm trying to remember his last name, but so he started Good Wipes, and he said this exact thing that you were saying, Dan, where he's like, there's no easy way around it. There's no playbook. The first few years are just fucking brutal. Like you just, and he said it just like that. And he said it like that, where it's like, you're just going to work hard. You're going to sacrifice your health, kind of, you can balance it, but not perfectly. You're going to sacrifice your time, family time, friends time. And that's how it is. That's how I see it. Some people disagree with me, but to get to that level of, to me, greatness, where you want to break even, be profitable, and grow your brand, sacrifices have to be made. Stacey, anything you want to add to the subject? I know a lot of people in the room took a while, but anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, ditto to what everyone said. Also, I started in the middle of a divorce and, kept going, even though by all rights, I probably should have given up. But I like to think that along the way, I accidentally did a lot of things right by sheer accident. But also too, like, my relationships are very important to me. And one of those relationships, I was waitressing and bartending at this really nice restaurant in Connecticut. And for years, like almost 10 years, I waited on this couple. So we got to know each other very well. They were my regulars. Anyway, they became a business partner. They're a third business partner of ours. They are investors. Because I was getting ready to leave, because I got my plant medicine certification. I finally finished my schooling for the study of plants. And I was going to go out on my own and leave the hospitality industry. And, he gave me his card at the end and was like, listen, I know you only know me as coming in and getting a steak and fries and a glass of wine, but I'm actually very successful in the business world. And if you ever need anything, I would like to think that you would call me. I would like to think that we're close enough that you would call me. And then, about a month later, I got an email from Whole Foods saying, hey, listen, we saw you at the local farmers market. We love your products. You're a perfect fit. This is the local forager. Can you please come in? We'd like to get your products on shelf. And then I randomly, this is a story every entrepreneur knows. Like, I randomly got an email. Hey, we were told to reach out to you because your teas are exquisite. Can you please enter the Connecticut specialty food competition with your teas? And like, we were down to like no money. And it was either pay the light bill and probably the car insurance, or use that money to enter this contest. And so what did I do as an entrepreneur? I bet on myself. I entered the contest and I said, I hope the lights don't get shut off. I hope my car doesn't get repossessed. Anyway, as this email from Whole Foods came through, I got a similar email saying, congratulations, your tea won in the best tea and coffee category. And it also won best product in all of Connecticut. And it just, like, all these things started happening. And I called my friend and said, hey, listen, I don't know where to put my time and energy. I feel like a lot of opportunities are happening. This was in 2015, and we had dinner, and he just said, I want to be a partner. I invest in people. I don't invest in products. I've seen you work under stress for 10 years straight. I know what you can handle, and I'm pretty sure I know what you will be successful at, and it is running and growing a business. So that was then, and he's still with us today. So I fortunately don't have to rely on money also, or more money, or raise money. I'm very grateful for that, but also too, our products are pretty sustainable. They do very well. Except for this beverage thing. This is a whole nother whacked world that I just got into. Like, what am I doing? But, as far as the day-to-day work, I still do it all. I started it all. I started it on my kitchen table, just like you did with the donuts with your husband. Dave and I did this together. And, it's a labor of love. It's my child. I don't have kids. I have a dog, and I have this business, and I dedicate all of it, all my time, all my energy, all my money, all my faith to it. But, I've certainly got to the point where not only can I not do it all, as smart as I think I am sometimes, I don't know how to do it. I'm at levels now. I don't know. I have no idea. And because I love this business so much, because I made something out of absolutely nothing, I very humbly and vulnerably hand it over to people. You know, I met Wade, I think about a year ago, and we got off to a great start. And then now I'm with V Driven, and it's way more than just a business partnership. It's literally like family. We're all in this together. We show up every day for each other, and just do the best that we can. And I have other partners. I just brought in a strategist, and I just brought in a fractional CMO, because we're way beyond anywhere I thought that we would have been. And we have some pretty big events that are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks, and some pretty big launches that are happening in the next month. And it's way beyond anything I can do all by myself. But I'm not going to lie to you. I still have my claws wrapped around everything in the business. I want to know everything that's going on, because I need to. If I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to fix it.
That's great.
So that's my short answer.
That's great. Well, you know, Stacey, I'm biased, but we love working with you as well. I've got a question. I'm going to go back to everyone. I'm going to start with Tania. We'll keep going around. If you could go back, whatever, you're each in different varying degrees of your business, where you're at, where you've been, how far you've come. But if you could go back to the early stages, Tania and everybody, what advice would you give yourself and or the people that are listening, people that are just starting their journeys like you were some time ago? What advice would you give yourself and them?
I mean, there's two things that I can think of. One, if you have not started a business yet, don't make a refrigerated product. That's my first piece of advice.
Seems to be a common theme of the show is do not start refrigerated brands.
I mean, there's pros and cons. I do think for Brune and for the product that we put out, for the product itself and for the consumers, it makes the most sense for it to be in the refrigerator. But as a business owner, it is just makes everything harder. So that's the first piece. But if you're committed to making a refrigerated product or whatever product you decide to put out, I think one thing that's really important in the early stages is to assume that you're going to get into this dream retailer, dream scenario that that starting off, oftentimes you can't even imagine that could happen. And when you have that in mind, talk to people that have done it before and understand your costs. Because if you're starting off in a farmer's market, if you're starting off selling direct to small retailers, there's going to be a laundry list of costs that come up along the way between that early stage and where you're going to end up, whether it's in a year or 5 years or whatever it is down the line. So I think a lot of the time, it's such a big undertaking to start a company. So it's hard to even, especially if you're new to the industry, put together what it takes to get a product on the shelf. But if you want longevity and if you want stability and profitability, then you need to understand from the early stages where you're going to start having to cut. So I think as much as I tried to learn early on, the longer that we go, the more that we see, a cent here and a cent there and 5 cents from here just being taken off. And it seems like the smallest thing, but when you're selling, CPG often has really small margins. And so every penny counts. And
pennies add up to dollars, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, something that's been great about the CPG industry is people are incredibly helpful, and they're always, willing, even if you just reach out on LinkedIn or you run into someone at an expo, people are so helpful. And oftentimes if someone is listening out there and they're thinking of starting a business, reach out to me. I'm sure you could probably reach out to anyone on this podcast and chat through what you're thinking. And, I'm happy to talk through kind of what happens in all the stages. So that's something that I would advise.
That's fantastic.
And one thing I'll jump in on, it's really funny, like even competitors help each other. That's like what I find funny. Like I remember running into like the CEO of Koya. This is when we were still on shelf. And Genius Juice was a functional smoothie right next to Koya. And we were like exchanging notes and asking about how to get better value from retailers, who to go into, where the velocity's been great, where have they not been great. So like, that's pretty fascinating that we have that type of culture, because if it's a different type of category, like banking or real estate or manufacturing plastics or something, people are going to be trying to kill each other, right, in that business. And it's like kind of a dog eat dog. One thing that I'll add to Tania, what you said, and then we'll go to Kristen, is have the kind of the shit happens budget line. So if something goes wrong, right, like the hire didn't work out and you have to hire someone else. Or I think the biggest one is the first production run with a new product. Oh my God, like those are brutal. Like it's the most nerve-wracking thing, right? Especially if you're at a co-packer and you're making, and then someone was saying that they make it themselves. I think Stacey, right? You have your own facility for that. But even that's nerve-wracking when you get new machinery and you're testing it out. But if you're at a co-packer and the MOQ is 50,000 units and you're doing a brand new SKU for the first time with a new process or a new protein powder or a new something, will it hit the shelf life that's stamped on the bottle? Will it taste good through the shelf life? Like, will it even be good enough to go on the shelf after you make it and it goes off the line, right? So these are all things like that I learned where we've had to throw away batches and lose $25,000, $50,000 and redo it again. So like budgeting for that is really important if something doesn't go right. Kristen, let's go to you next on that same question from
Yeah, I mean, that was all like such great advice. I wish that I had it when I was starting out. And the first thing that came to mind was the refrigerated piece, because when Grover and I were starting Glonuts, as I mentioned, we weren't trying to do this. And so we literally knew nothing. Like it all just kind of happened serendipitously, and Glonuts went semi-viral and we became a donut brand without knowing anything about what we were doing. Something that was very challenging for us was that we're a very unique product in how we're made. So sometimes I think, if you're starting an innovative product where there is no off-the-shelf solution for how to make your product, going in and knowing that that is going to be a very costly and time-consuming experience is advice I would give. I think, Grover and I constantly talk about if we could do this over, how we would make something that was really easy to produce, really light to ship, definitely shelf stable, something that you could ship ground and, just differentiate on brand or something like that. But, it's all easier said than done. And I am very happy that we are on the path that we're on, because I think we did create a phenomenal product that's solving a lot of problems for people. But we really had to build our production line from scratch, and it took us forever to find a co-manufacturer to work with that could do the process that we wanted in the way we wanted without adding emulsifiers and things to hold the product together, or change it where it became just another version of ultra processed food. So I think if you are creating something innovative, really stick to your guns on your values and your beliefs, because if you don't, you're going to end up in the middle and just be another product for no one. So that's some advice I have. I think, Alex, to your point, that was a really great point about, having enough funding for accidents. I always say, the bigger we get, the more pressure there is for something to go right, because one production run now, before when we were making 35-pound batches of dough and messed up one, it was like, that's all we threw away. Now we're, throwing away 2,000 pounds of dough if something goes wrong. And so, being able to stay alive through a mistake like that. I think the other part that some may not realize in this business is that you can try to control everything yourself. And obviously you care so much about your product and the thing that you're making, but the amount of people and hands your product has to pass through to get to the consumer. And you have no control over how they feel about it, how they went into work that day, if they will put your product in the fridge when it gets there. Like there's just so many things out of your control in this business that can literally put you out of business if it goes wrong. And that's the scary part. So, planning for those rainy days. And then my woo-woo advice is like really, really believe that you will get through every hard thing, and that when you do, you will be better off for it. Because I, like, in my darkest moments, where I thought like I just wanted everything to end, I got past it and I became stronger. And now I'm just so much more confident in myself, and in Glonuts, and in my own personal future, you know?
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And at least in my case, what, like the Joker said, what doesn't kill me made me stranger, right? From The Dark Knight. I just had to make a quick joke there, but you're 100% right. You're going to have these tough times, and by you figuring it out, rising above and getting through it, you become stronger. You learn from it, and you make even better decisions in the future. And you learn from, that's not just mistakes, but how to persevere through a lot of the challenges. And I could have a podcast just talking about our supply chain nightmares with Genius Juice, whole separate conversation with fresh coconut from Thailand. But that's another story for another day. Dan, we'll flip it to you, and then Stacey, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah, a couple of things. I echo the point on the mentor. I got that late in the game. I had a lot of advisors along the way, but not this mentor. And by mentor, more specific, like somebody that did what you did successfully in the space that you're operating in, not an analog. And so I found that most recently. I'll plug Jeff here with Dream Makers. I know he's sponsoring the show, so I'm in his accelerator program in the upcoming cohort. And he was like, all these questions I had in this stage of my business, the people around me could not answer, but Jeff can. And he just sees the forest for the trees, and he's seen all that stuff, and that's been a huge help at this stage, and obviously a confidence booster in terms of like navigating, this chapter of where the NA Beverage Company is, right? And just having someone done it before is just super helpful. Pacing was also another thing I struggled with. I'm kind of an impatient person, and I want to see results pretty quickly, and I don't dwell in. I should recognize the wins more and just acknowledge them. I'm just kind of looking for the next thing, and things are never moving fast enough. But that's actually gotten me in trouble a couple times. So it's like, I was trying to think Silicon Valley style software startup mindset, fail fast, iterate, growth at all costs, boom, boom, boom. It's not the best advice sometimes for CPG. Like, obviously we need to fail fast, and there's smart ways to experiment. But I've had times where I've gone too fast and dug a deeper hole for myself in some cases. So pacing is key. I hear that too. And a lot of brands, we always hear these stories and like, hey, I overcommitted to a national rollout with Whole Foods, and it tanked the company, right? So it's like I keep getting this advice now. So when I see some stuff, I just had a conversation with a national, a distributor representing a national brand, and I kind of took a step back. I was very excited about it, but I was like, what? I was like, I don't know if we're ready for this year. It might be a next year thing, and that should be fine, right? So pacing was one. Another one, early focus. I think again, the brands here are in varying stages of emerging. I seem to be the most nascent, so we're emerging, all right. And one mistake that we made early was equal parts focus on different channels. So attacking retail, as a bootstrap self-funded startup, but then also attacking D2C at the same time. And then within D2C, trying to attack Amazon as well as Shopify and mastering, Facebook Meta ads and things like that. So I kind of made my bed, and, it's all out of the box right now. And, there are things where I'll choose to strategically push on things less than others. But advice I would give myself is saying, hey, yeah, just imagine you've got really limited resources. You got to be super scrappy. Where do you want to focus? Because supporting the retail channel costs money. You have a sales broker, you're doing demos, you're doing free fills, you're paying slotting fees, you're doing all this stuff. Or on the D2C side, you're paying for ads. You know, do you want to go on Amazon or do you want Shopify so you get the customer data? You know, what does that mean for your ad creatives and your performance marketing strategy? Is your website optimized for conversions? You know, what's your stack in general? Where, you know, what's your approach to email marketing? How are you acquiring those customers? How much do they cost to acquire? So it's like they're just all these like different worlds, and as one person trying to do everything, you're splitting your focus and you end up doing everything kind of half-assed. So that's one advice I would give myself, which I'm still kind of not following myself, but
Yeah.
we'll see. And then the last thing, this goes back to the faith comment, right? Too, but like first and foremost, like you really better believe in what you're doing and be really passionate about it, because like going through this process, it is not a get rich quick scheme, right? Like this is hard. Chances of failure are high, and it's just like blood, sweat, and tears, and you know, we're just shoveling the SHIT every day. And I know all these founders have experienced that and done that and just experienced and like had these moments of breaking points. And that, you know, to the earlier point that was made, that's when having some sort of faith or rock beyond yourself is really helpful, because at the end of the day, like if I yes, I'm going to put everyone on my back and carry us across and up the mountain. But at the end of the day, like who's carrying me? Right. And so, you know, that's where it's helpful just to be like, okay, you better really believe in what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if you just think this is a nice pet project, it's going to get harder and harder at the end of the day.
100%. And I'll cite back to well said, Dan, well said. A lot of good gems there. And before we end on with Stacey and her comment, 7 hats, right? Going back to Yuval and the interviews he's done, because I just love his podcast. We cross promote, right? We're in cooperation, not competition. Where you know how you always hear the phrase, right, as an entrepreneur of make sure to have your cup filled, right? Fill your own cup before helping others. The analogy that he gave me that I really love is not only do you fill the cup, you make the cup overflow. So you help yourself, you take care of yourself, which is easier said than done. And you do it so much to where your cup is overflowing, and then everyone else can drink from the cup after it's overflowing around you. So that analogy really stuck with me.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So Stacey, last but certainly not least, how you doing? Tell us about the answer.
Yeah, like ditto to what everyone said. The refrigerated part for sure. And I often joke, like if I ever started another company, it would probably be t-shirts. It's easy, it can ship. It's not, I don't have to get any certification. Like it just seems so much easier. But probably the 2 biggest things that stick out for me of what I would tell someone who's just starting a business, or even someone who just needs an ear, is alignment. I really believe in alignment. I really believe in who I position myself with, because every day who my business partners are, whether it's my marketing team, whether it's a tea fairy, whether it's a mentor, no matter who it is I am in a daily relationship with that person. And what does our communication look like? What does our conflict look like? What does our forgiveness look like? How well are we able to solve problems? Are we solution oriented? And like I have to deal with probably 40 people on any given day that I'm making these decisions with. And it's the goal is always what's best for the company, right? And I've learned real quick who I align myself with in that, because some people don't have that. They want to run your business the way they want to run it, not your vision. And so, you know, there's a little bit of butt heading, but I feel really solid right now. And because I feel really solid, I'm able to grow us a lot bigger, farther, further, wider, in a much more elegant, beautiful, kinder, softer way. Instead of this grind to get stuff done, right? Like that doesn't do anybody any good. So I learned that. But probably the other biggest lesson I learned was don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. Always have, like we have omni-channels of sales. We did farmers markets the first 8 years of our business because they were such cash cows. We were bringing in $10,000 a week in cash. And so that floated as we were starting to build our wholesale, which just sucked all the money out of it, right? But we had to do that. And then always having, you know, a Shopify website to keep a trickle of sales, something's going in, or I don't know. We just never put all of our things in one basket. We kind of grew. We did local farmers markets. We did local regional. We did local East Coast. Then we did gifting, and then foolishly, okay, let's get into grocery now. Let's go for the big leagues. And, you know, but it's all been a process. But I've always held on to those other sales channels. We're still in gifting. We still show up and do some really incredible holiday shows because it's such cash. And like right now, when every penny counts and my margins are getting slashed and everybody's trying to take the 75 cents I have left, which is a miracle. And I'm like, no, but I'll go to this show where I know I can make a couple $1,000. And not only, it's not even just about the money, it's going back to where I started, back to the people. I'm standing in front of my customer. I'm making a connection with my customer. I'm saying hello again. It's just me. Look at what I made. Oh, you like it? Great. Here, you know what I mean? Like that back and forth. Like I don't ever want to lose that because that's how we started. And I'm best when I'm connecting with people. That's where I really shine. So I would say alignment and not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yep. Really well said. Some amazing advice and gems in this entire episode. And again, I've been kind of adding on and double clicking a lot of the comments here because it resonates with just what I've gone through as an entrepreneur for 11 years, that if you don't feel good and you're not aligned, it seeps into every area of your business for the worst, like, or bad, I should say. If you think about the details, connecting with your coworkers, your partners, your investors, your retailers, if you're not at an optimum level of alignment and feeling present and feeling good, someone who could have said yes will say no, right? Or someone that you could have had a chance to connect with for a bigger business opportunity or personal relationship, that may go bye-bye too, or that may not happen. So I'm a big believer in that, like what you're talking about, Stacey, and what we're all talking about is like, just take care of yourself and usually the rest will take care of itself kind of deal. I should copyright that. And you'll have a much easier time, not easier time to run your business because you're connecting with people on that level and it feels better, right? Versus forcing it all the time and pushing all the time, right? So we had a burnout special edition. I know we're way over time here. We had a burnout special edition episode, Wade, right? And I think we're probably going to have another one because it's such a pertinent topic that everyone's talking about right now, especially post-pandemic. Okay, well, we are beyond time here. So just, again, we wanted to thank these special entrepreneurs that have done great things, made great products, and they're emerging. They're growing it day by day. They're in the trenches right now. Blood, sweat, and tears and everything, like we all talked about. And they are seeing success. And Tania Sweis, Brune Kitchen, Kristen Charbo with Glonuts, Dan Choi, the NA Beverage Company, and Stacey Wood with Whole Harmony. Thank you all for coming on. And we will see you again here next week, same time, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern.
Thank
So
you
take
all.
care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.